Welcome to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. Welcome back to The Wedding Wear. This is part 2 of my interview with Jocelyn, who is a fantastic photographer. She's the owner of Danie Photography based in Schuylkill County. Please listen to part 1, which gets a lot of background and insight into how she got started, her work in the wedding business, and some pet peeves, some helpful tips, and all that jazz. But in true The Wedding Wear fashion, we're going to start off with story time. Jocelyn, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, tell me your best The Wedding Wear.
Oh, kids don't do drugs.
Okay. I'm intrigued. That's the tagline on this. Yep, The Wedding Wear, kids don't do drugs. Okay.
So, beautiful wedding. We go get ready at this fancy house, and one of the bridesmaids decided to get high. And let me tell you, it wasn't just marijuana. She was like,
It probably wasn't a small little amount of I just need to chill cool myself
no,
to a calm.
it was like, I'm going to party this wedding. And she was so high and then drank on top of being high. And keep in mind this was a wedding full of cops. Cops. And it was one of the cops' wives. Yes. Yes. And she was high as a kite on whatever she was doing in the bathroom and openly said, I just needed a pick me up, and then proceeded to drink on top of that. And it was so hard to rein her in for any of the photos. By the end of the photos, the reception has not even started. By the end of the photos after the ceremony, she had to be carried onto the bus to go back to the venue.
And they let her then stay.
Yeah, she stayed. Whatever she did,
I could have carted her off to home just like I did sorority sisters
Nope.
back in the day. Call a taxi, put her in it. Okay, thanks, bye.
Nope. She went to the ceremony. I think she was told to sit down at that point, but then when the dancing started, she was grinding up on anybody and anybody. But yeah, I was telling her, I was you line the bridesmaids up. We're okay, put your flowers out, put them together. She threw the bouquet at me. She literally threw the bouquet at me and thought it was hysterical. I'm like, we're not doing this. And the bride is like, I'm so sorry, but yeah. So yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
Do you have clauses in your contract? I can't
Yes.
yeah, because I just added one for disrespectful or
Yeah.
unwanted advances by
Yeah.
groomsman, guest, fill in the blank person.
My poor second shooter, Rebecca. We had a wedding about a year ago, and one of the brothers, I don't remember if it was the brother of the bride or the groom, but a brother was in the wedding, and he followed her around like a lost puppy the whole entire time, tried grinding on her at the reception while she's trying to take pictures. It the poor girl. And I said to her, if you feel uncomfortable, just let me know. I'll say something to the bride and groom. She's like, no, I'll deal with it. But now there is a harassment clause in my contracts now.
Yeah.
And it's to protect everybody. Nobody should feel that way.
Right. And I added one on disregard for safety, either of hey, you want me on a hike on a trail that's super steep and,
Yeah.
thank goodness I weigh what I weigh now because I was just telling my mom the hike wedding I did. There'd be no way I could have done that when I was larger. I had bad ankles, I got crappy knees.
Yeah.
And if I was toting myself around on, it was called Shade of Death Trail. Okay. Doesn't that fear you? Beautiful waterfall, but 7-minute hike to get there. And some of it's very one person up against a ledge hype, so I've got clauses now on lack of concern or safety, or especially weddings during COVID's when I started putting that clause in, because I'd have couples, and I get it. You don't want to say, yes, we're COVID positive because you worry about if someone will cancel on you, what that will do for the day. But you don't know what anyone else has kind of going on in their world, whether there's a family member at home who's immunocompromised, or if the officiant or photographer themselves is pregnant or trying to, live their lives. And just a heads up, it doesn't mean I'm not coming. It just means let me know as much information as I could possibly know so that I could make my own decisions as an adult. wearing a mask,
Yep.
not hug you farewell at the end,
Yeah.
wave goodbye, just letting you know those things because, right, personal safety kind of goes out the window
Yep.
when you think about vendors. Sometimes you're like, oh, well, I'm paying them to be here. It's like, yeah, but I'm human.
Human. It's funny you say that. When I was pregnant with my second child, I had gestational diabetes and like I'm generally just overweight to begin with. And obviously I had pregnancy weight on top of that. And I did a wedding in the venue was like in the woods sort of, and there was a waterfall. And I specifically asked the bride, "Do you want waterfall photos? I can't climb out there. I'm 7 months pregnant. It was my very last wedding, but I can bring." She didn't pay for an associate, but I offered to bring an associate shooter with me at my cost, not at her cost,
To get
make
that
sure
full
he got the
shot.
waterfall fall shot. No, no, I don't need it. Well, guess what she wanted the day of the wedding? Guess who didn't have someone with her? Because she didn't want to pay for the second shooter, and she told me, which was fine. But then she told me not to bring a second shooter again at no cost to her because she wasn't worried about the waterfall shot.
And then she won.
And then she wanted it because there was light snowfall and she thought it would have looked cool with the snow. And I got her vision, but I was like, I'm just not very comfortable with that. Like if I slip and fall, like, and it was cold. This was November. Yeah, it was November. So that, and I'm a yes ma'am, and I didn't feel as confident as I am now sticking up for myself. So there I am, 7 months pregnant, crawling in the freezing cold water, praying not to fall, and taking pictures of this stupid waterfall with the snow around her. And like, and again, it would have been one thing if it was just like we were down there, we saw it, but like I specifically asked her, "Do you
Knew
want?"
ahead of time.
Yeah, and so that like that was like to this day it still burns me up. Like just the lack of regard for like not only me at that point, my baby's safety. So,
I get couples a lot that'll just like add in, oh, we've got this. Is that okay? It's like, what am I going to say? You already have the candle set out. You're going to do a candle unity that adds 5 minutes more into my time. That's a scripting thing I didn't have included
yeah,
in. So I'm going to have to wing it. But what am I going to say?
yeah,
No, let's leave the candles unlit up
yeah.
there at the altar. Oh,
And I think that's the mindset of, well, it's only 5 minutes of their time. But yeah, but that's it's not just 5 minutes of your time.
right. It's scripting, it's me acting on the fly. And thankfully, I've gotten good at that. But man, especially given that it is your ceremony, it's an important part of your day. It
Yeah,
might be recorded through mics for posterity. What if I slip up and say something
yeah,
again that I'm not supposed to because you've got me winging it on
yeah.
that? Well, perfect. I've got these next couple questions that are more of like your style as a vendor and how you like to work on things. Just for anybody else who's in the photography market and just kind of figuring out how best, how other photographers, work or how they might, really go about it. I always use a fun fact. Officiants are often the last or second to last vendor booked. So a lot of times when I get the advice out, it's like, hey, think about this. Like as soon as you have a date and a place, think who you might want. Please move
Yeah.
it up in your timeline so that you aren't booked years and years out. But getting into that, how far out do you like to book couples, and is there a sweet spot?
I am now booking into 2027, and we are sitting here in April of 2025,
A year and a half?
a
Yeah.
year and a half over that at this point. So for brides, usually it's their venue, DJs, and photographers are the first three things they book. But yeah, I mean, narrow down a date and figure it out because though it does happen quickly, especially like October 11th of 2026. That I've gotten so many requests for that date.
Let me
And
see if that let me see if that's a high one because I track the most popular. I know for this year, for 25, it's been April 12th was huge. So many inquiries. May 24th was huge. And then what's my October 11th? Everybody wants October 11th of this year for 25. And I have two people for October 17th of 26, but no one for that week before.
yeah, yep. So it like that day sticks out to my mind. Everybody is booking that day.
What is typically your process from like meeting somebody as a potential couple, maybe at an expo, through booking and wedding day? Like just high level, what does that process kind of look like?
It's a lot of talking about obviously the day of. Sometimes I have brides that want to meet in person. Sometimes I have people that just are cool with telehealth or Zoom. Listen to me, telehealth. Sorry, it's a therapist to me
No.
coming out. From there, everything's digital. And then once contract signs, deposits given, we go right into let's schedule your engagement session. And I always say it's practice for your wedding day. But it's pretty flawless. If there's any advice I can give to someone booking a vendor, especially a photographer and DJ, make sure you vibe with them and make sure you like them because you're stuck with them all day. Like I'm following you around like a tail all day long. So like make sure you get along with your photographer. I'm rough around the edges. Like I'm you get every personality is different. I joke around a lot. I'm sarcastic. Like that's just how I am. Make sure you vibe with that some type of personality. If you vibe with someone that's like, listen, you're gonna follow me around all day long, but I don't want to talk to you. That's fine. That's your preference. Make sure you find someone that can do that. I can't do that because I want to vibe with you as well. So just make sure you vibe with your vendors.
Yeah, and definitely make sure that like as a couple, if you're unable to like
Mhm.
pull the trigger on something, but you've made your decision, that your vendor's strong enough to make that
Mhm.
happen for you. Like I know I had built out a whole timeline of ideal of pictures and you're kind of like, Amanda, don't get married to your timeline. We're gonna try as hard as we can. We ended up being ahead of schedule on something
Mhm.
and like one of the call times was listed and one of the couples like didn't show up or something for call time, or it was just getting too rough to like wrangle some of my family members. They're all screaming, trying to find each other. It was all on the call time sheet. I'm not going to spend any more effort. But again, me as the bride standing there with the smile on my face, I'm not about to go be like,
Mhm.
stop calling for them. I'm done. I don't need them. We're
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
And I think I like looked at you and I was like, we're good. Like,
Yeah.
cut it. We're good. And you're like, okay, moving on to the next set of photos.
Yep.
Like, so again, like knowing that your vendor is going to be able to work with you and at times help to voice the things that either because there's a smile plastered on your face or because you can't, really
Mhm.
sum up that gumption to say it or do it, that they'll be the ones to be like, we're doing this now,
Yeah.
on our way. Okay, thanks
Yep.
together. And it's really important because a lot of times family will try to help by booking vendors on behalf of a couple, which, is a very kind thing to do. But you want it to fit for the couple. There are vendors that I picked because they were great and best for me, and I know other people are kind of like, "Meh, I didn't they weren't all I could have found you somebody better, I would've."
Mhm.
Doesn't matter, it was what I wanted or who I found, and nothing's worse than a couple at the end of the day going like, "Oh, well, we didn't know the person because Aunt so and so found them for us, and no, I guess it is what it is, we're stuck
Yeah.
with it." That's just not the way to feel
Yeah.
for a wedding day. I always tell people that I'm like minister plus, there's always those I don't even list them as add-ons because they just kind of come with it like you are. Yes, and,
Yeah.
you know, what is kind of one of your unspoken, I just do it because I do it. I don't even consider it an add-on, happy to do it. What is one of those things that just kind of falls in with what you
I
do?
feel like Rebecca, Taya, and I. So Rebecca and Taya are my two other second shooters, and then there's my husband when he's like,
Almost fails.
yeah, when all else fails, he's last ditch effort. And the other reason for that is like it's less comfortable if you have, my husband. I'm like, hey babe, go fluff that dress, and he's like, do what? Whereas like Taya and Becca, they get it. But when all else fails, we always end up coordinating the wedding. Like day of coordinating. We all like we're your photographers, but we always end up doing day of coordinating. Like, making sure this vendor is doing that. And like it's not our job, it's not our responsibility, but we do it. So yeah.
I've now added in like I will do full or ceremony coordination if you want me
Uh-huh.
to. So especially
Yeah.
if you don't have a day of person and your venue might have a venue person, but again, they're responsible for getting catering out on time,
Yeah.
getting the room set right. The ceremony becomes a big question mark of
Yeah.
who does it. And it's like, hey, if you want me to tap in, because I find that I already am being tapped in,
Yeah.
I will. Like, I'll write you out a whole list of who walks when. I will
Mhm.
get you cues and direct it. I will make sure that this goes to the DJ, this goes to the photographer, like kind of that touch base to make sure that it all goes swimmingly. But speaking of other vendors and other people involved on wedding day, of all the other vendors that you kind of get to touch base with, like what is like kind of your favorite? Like when you walk in and you see, they've got this person, this kind
Yep.
of person, this kind of vendor, you're like, haha, bestie.
Two people.
Okay.
Frank from Remember When Video. Like we just
Right.
Becca and I see Frank and we're like, Frank, and Scuba from Scuba Entertainment DJ,
Okay.
one of the greatest DJs ever. Like I see him and I'm like, okay, we're gonna be rocking this wedding at the reception because he is such a vibe and like he is just a great DJ. I refer everybody to both of them because they are just both amazing. And I mean, let me tell you, Mama Millie's and Cake Pros, I see them like setting up the table cake or the cake table, and I'm like, yes.
I love, yeah, there is definitely some that I see and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you know me, I know you, we've worked together. I think what's even funnier is the times where I look at somebody and I'm like, we've probably done a wedding together. They're like, yeah, we probably have. I'm like, I can't quite place you yet. They're like,
yeah,
that's okay. I get done with the ceremony. They're like, oh, I've definitely heard you speak before.
yeah,
Like, I've heard
yeah,
your cadence, I've heard your rhythm. Let's kind of bind it through.
yep,
And I love that. We love working with you
yeah,
guys. It's
yeah.
always a fun, fun go. And is there a certain type of couple that like best fits in your working style? Like, yeah.
A couple that loves each other.
Well, I mean,
Some,
yeah, like some of the type A, like, must be brides. Like, I'd be like, oh, honey, let go of the
yeah,
reins. I got the ceremony. You focus on everything else.
yeah.
Let me pick the words.
Couples that have chemistry. And when I say that, I'm not saying like some people to start in a PDA and that's fine. But like sometimes I take pictures of people and I'm like, can y'all pretend to like each other? And and like so I can understand that sometimes it's about comfortability, but sometimes it's not. Like I had an engagement session here 2 years ago at the mansion, and I will never forget the groom or the future groom was drunk from the night prior still and kept saying, "Are these pictures done yet? Are these pictures done yet?" Like, and it was just like she just wanted this so bad. And then ironically at their wedding, I'll never forget, like she wanted those pictures of the bride and groom after the ceremony of like those romantic, like intimate photos. And he was like, his exact words are we fucking done yet? I need to go get drunk. Like, and I felt so bad for that bride because she put so much into it. And that was actually my first couple that got divorced.
Yeah, there's some
Um,
things you can tell.
yep.
Sometimes you can.
And I just felt so bad for her because she was the sweetest thing in the world. So yeah, like I like couples that are just like really just into each other and you know, you could just genuinely tell the love is there.
Yeah. There's like TikTok right now has got the video, the George of the Jungle dance wedding scene where he's looking out at her and he's just got those eyes
Yeah,
like
yeah,
glazed over. And then it's like, this is what I grew up wanting. And then it shows like a
yeah.
few of the wedding photos where, right, without needing to be PDA and super
Mm.
touchy and super clingy, they just managed to capture
Yeah,
that like eyes of admiration, face
yeah,
of relaxation, like the calm,
yeah.
the love, the support. And I'm sure it's a super hard photo to get because again, you don't wanna be, like, up in the middle of it all, but me being up there as an officiant, when they hold hands, I can see, like, just how tight they're holding on to each other, or if
Mhm.
one's just kind of, like, placing the
Yeah,
hand to be there,
yeah,
or if they're doing little rubs or strokes or something, like, there's so much now that I put in of, like, seeing how they hold one another's hand because those are just such pure moments of how they're gonna get through this
yeah,
together.
yeah.
So let's talk money, but not really. What is something you wish people understood about, like, your rates and the work that you do?
It's not just day of. I think I've had comments made to me like, "Oh, I'm paying 2,000, $2,500 for you to show up for 8 hours." Like, that's I don't do math, I'm not an accountant. What's that, like 250 dollars an hour? Like, what am I paying you for? You're paying me for me not only showing up, but having to pay someone 9 times out of 10 to show up with me. You're paying for also another 10 to 12 hours of me editing. So, okay, so like we're gonna double that 8-hour day now, and you're looking at 16 hours, including editing, possibly up to 20. You know, my insurance, my all my equipment is paid for, my insurance, it all factors into it. I'm not a photographer that's gonna show up with one camera and leave it in the universe's hands. I'm the photographer that shows up with 6, 7, 8 cameras, 3, 4 different backup lens. Like, I think I had 4 bags the day of your wedding. I show up with stuff. That all took time and money, and I think that it's not just, "Oh, you're paying me to show up and take photos." There's a whole lot more that goes into it.
There's a lot. I was explaining to my father-in-law that when I start out doing my base pricing, like the first question I was asked is, how long do you want your ceremony? And whatever you say, I multiply that by 15. That's how I start off in like my base rates. And he's like, well, why 15? Like if they want a 10-minute ceremony, why 15? I'm like, well, because for each minute I account for $5 in it's gonna take me that minute to craft that minute of scripting. And then it's $5 is it's gonna take me time in practicing that 1 minute of scripting.
Yeah.
And then in actual performance and delivery, a $5 charge if it's going to take me that in delivering that 1 minute of scripting because I don't just get there and wing it. You know,
Yeah.
There's base rates that go in, and that's before you even get into customization and personalization and the LLC and the licensing and the tech that gets used throughout that just makes it all the more possible and feasible. And I think again, I know we're sitting here in your beautiful studio. I see some of the beautiful boudoir dresses. And I remember the last expo that we were at where you're kind of explaining to clients, like, hey, like I put money into this. Like I want the technology of the cameras to be top tier. I want the outfits that you might be putting on to be top tier. You're getting a minuscule fraction of that cost feeding into the pricing to help cover it. But it's not cheap to begin with. Therefore, there's going to be a price to it. Like this is not one of those digital disposable cameras or an old Nokia, that we all used to have, and we dropped them in puddles of beer and surprised they still work the next morning. We kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but how do you handle clients who kind of want to go just so outside the box, or they found all of their dreams on Instagram and Pinterest? And yes, they booked you because you're local or you've worked with the venue before and they like your rates, but they kind of show up with like but we want this.
Yeah. I usually always ask and make sure their vision, it's honestly part of my contract because I've read other photographer horror stories and I want to learn from that. And it is in my contract that you're hiring me for what I already do. You've seen my aesthetic. You've seen my image. Like I'm a like a bold, but I wouldn't say bold. Like I'm like a vibrant, warm photographer. There are light and airy photographers. There's true to color. I'm on the warmer side.
And you're very hometown. Like you've got that feel, that hometown smell feel. You're not at a castle in Scotland taking you're not Villa Tuscany. You're not inner city mainline Philadelphia. You are hometown rural. And that's why we picked you. I mean, I love that feel.
That's just, and I make sure they're aware of that. So when they do show me a photo, I'll be like, hey, I will do my best to match that, but it's going to be my vibe. It will never look the same. I make that very clear. I have brides send me Pinterest boards and my response is great. These are great place to start. Pictures won't look exactly like that, but we will try our best. We can do the same, sort of the same pose. Like my favorite is when they do these super posy photos, but then like the bride is taller than the groom. And don't get me wrong, I can improvise, but there's just some things I can't make the groom grow a foot, but I can work some other ways to like make poses that are flattering to them. So I think just you have an image, but don't always like make it your own.
Right. And that's one of the things I loved about you and your work. Again, especially in a world where we live with so much Photoshop and AI edit and all of this, that you were like, hey, if you've got a pimple, we'll retouch that.
Yeah.
For chins, that's you're human. That's anatomy.
Not realistic.
That's what my mother, again, for my wedding photos is like, oh, like there's a part where like my camisole doesn't like match up. I go, Mom, that really like, she's like, it doesn't cover all the way I thought it would cover. I'm like, Mom, that we're not fixing. Now, the one photo where Rob's wife's eyes are closed, maybe. If I liked her enough, I'd fix it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Have you ever had to turn down a couple?
Yeah.
And what made you make that decision, or how did you know it wasn't going to be a right fit?
I'm laid back. I'm very social. I feel like I'm not going to try to be like your best friend, but I'm definitely going to try to be friendly with you. And if I'm just not getting those vibes, it was only one couple I turned down, and their original pitch to me was that they didn't like a photographer I'm actually friends with and proceeded to talk shit on them. Knowing the situation, because they didn't realize I talked to that photographer, I just got...
We all talk. Please note for those listening, vendors in your area
Yeah.
all talk, all
Yeah.
know each other. We all keep little tabs on like, ooh, that one DJ I saw the one time who was on like his fourth mixed drink. Like
Yeah.
we all know each
Yeah.
other.
Can I go on a tangent here for a second?
Yes.
So, like, talk vendors. So, like, photographer world. And if photographers are listening to this, like, pay attention. It is okay to be friends with other photographers in your area. You do not have to look at them and be like, oh, they're my enemy. You do not have to make up lies and make up stories to make other people hate that photographer just because you're jealous or you're whatever. Lift each other up. Like, I am such good friends with, I think, almost all the photographers in my area. Maybe one or two I'm not very fond of. And if I'm not fond of them, they had to have done something for me to not be fond of them. But I think like vendors, DJs, like I ran a bridal expo at a venue around here. It was nice to see DJs talking to other DJs, photographers talking to other photographers. Like I was a photographer running that show and I invited several other photographers to be there. And I'm okay with that. Like everybody's a different vibe. Everybody got different styles, different price points, different personalities. Like everybody is different. And let me tell you, the clientele for photography, for DJs, for all of that, there is someone out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to be mean to other vendors. Look at it as a network of like, hey, I can work with this person.
Okay. And certainly, knowing there's opportunities to work with, but then, even if it's not going to be like a correlation over, like there's nothing, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. Like I met another officiant who's very like one with the nature, one with the world.
Yeah.
Like every, wedding that she does is outside by waterfalls and trees. And, really her couples pick her for that reason, which is great. But it's a very different reason than why couples pick me or what
Yeah.
I promote myself to. So there's time, I'd met her at an expo and she's like, oh my gosh, like, if you ever have, you're already double booked or something, like, please, I'll give you my card. And I was like, okay. But, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I I meet with all the couples. I do consult calls before I dive into booking. I wouldn't want to necessarily, say, hey, if you were looking for me or someone providing services like me, let me send you to the total left-handed
Yeah.
offshoot.
Yeah.
I'm searching for like and like. The other big thing I will also say for couples is b- be be wary of vendors that will, as you are on your search, diss
Other
other vendors.
vendors.
Because there's a lot of really polite ways that we as vendors could say, like, oh, okay, that's, yeah, definitely reach out to them. That's a
Yeah.
choice. Kind of giving you a little bit of opinion on a decision that solely needs to be yours because you're the one paying them, you're the one who has to work with them. But if they go so far as to be like, oh, that person, okay, and kind of lay it all out, like if you start listing out vendors that you have and I know them and I like them, you will hear, yes, oh my gosh, they are great.
Hmm.
That's so awesome. Oh, I'm excited for this. Or yes, please let me get you her number. You can reach out. Would love to see you be able to work with them. If they aren't someone I'd recommend, I'm likely going to say silent or go, oh, okay, that sounds good. Like very minimal because ultimately the decision needs to be yours. But there's such a cattiness, and you can learn a lot about how your vendor operates if they're going to stoop, I'll use that word, stoop to a
Yeah.
level of being like, oh, them,
Hmm.
and just, yeah, be wary and be mindful. Any last minute words or advice you'd have out to couples, family members, bridal party members, other vendors, anybody in the wedding world or space?
I would just say, and I've said this earlier, just make sure you vibe with the people that you hire. Make sure, you want to make sure you get along with the person that you're going to spend your day with. As far as vendors, work together, not against each other. It makes the whole world go around. It's less stressful for yourself, for the other vendors around you. Make connections. That's one of the funnest part of, your videographer. I loved him. He was a whole vibe.
Yeah.
I never met him before, but he was wonderful to work with.
Didn't know either. That was one of the ones my mom was like, I want you to have a videographer. I'm like, let's find a great rate and
Yeah.
a decent fit. Happy to do whatever you want, mom.
Yeah.
But he was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, my experience is make sure you vibe with everybody. Like, just go into it with a positive mindset. Things are gonna go wrong. It's not the end of the world, unless the groom doesn't show up. But, I just saw a TikTok where the groom didn't show up and the bride still made it work.
Yeah. And I will also say, other vendors, like we we all could step in to do some of the work should you be falling apart or not able to,
Yeah,
but we don't want to. So show up, do your work,
yeah,
be confident in it to let us be confident in turn in you.
yeah,
And let's all just swimmingly get along. Like if
yeah,
you need help with something, or, again, I think back to the podium falling, you know, if Nate, the videographer, if he'd been in a position that you're like, hey, like, I'm going to move over here, get this photo, can we
yeah,
move that out? Like, talk with each other and communicate with each other for when help may be possible.
yeah,
But when it's not time to collaborate, like, just do you.
yeah,
Focus on you, do your work, do your realm. Because I don't, and I speak for myself on this, I don't want to step into anyone else's lane if they've got it handled. Now, if you
hmm
don't got it handled and you're saying, like, oh, yeah, yeah, I got it, I got it, I got it. Yeah, we're going to have some big problems then.
yeah,
But,
yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
right.
Make things work. 'Cause at the end of the day, like, you're working with somebody else's big day. It's not just like an everyday thing. Like, this is someone else's special day. And as a vendor, it is my job to ensure that, like, I have a level of professionalism, but also remember that, like, things go wrong. How can I step in? Yeah, like, I can have the mindset of, like, that's not my job, but where's that gonna get me? Because at the end of the day, like, if bride's upset, then it still affects me as a photographer. So, like, yeah, just because it's not your job doesn't mean you can't step up and make it your problem.
Right. I find a lot of, like, I think on it later on, a lot of like, "Ooh, that wasn't my job," after the fact. Like, I do it in the moment, and it's only when I'm debriefing in
Yeah.
my drive home that I go, "I really didn't need to be the person that tied the tie on the father of the bride because his hands were
All the
shaking
time.
so bad."
Yeah,
Now, again, is that a service I'm going to regularly offer that I put in the contract, or is that just one of those minister plus,
yeah,
gosh, it wasn't my job, but I did it anyway?
yeah,
It's a minister plus, I'm just going to do it anyway.
yeah,
But yeah, in the minute is not when you think about like, oh, that's not my job. You do the work and assess it out
mhm,
later of, was this a one off? Could this be a five off?
yeah.
Where can the people find you? How can the people find you? So we know that your studio world is in the Yingling mansion.
Yes.
What's an email? What's social media? Where can people find you?
So I'm Danie May Photography, Danie with Danie. May Photography LLC is my Facebook.
And we should say May is MAE.
MAE. Yep. I am again located out of Schuylkill County in Pennsylvania. I update my Facebook. I actually have someone working on my website right now. So that'll be all updated soon. But yeah, I'm mostly I'm a big Facebook person. That and Facebook gets me a lot of different jobs.
Yeah. And you've done some of the American Bridal Expos, you've done
Yes.
a few local expos. So certainly you see Jocelyn around. You might call her Danie, as I did for probably the first 6 months.
Yep,
Even
I
though
just said
many
it.
times you're
Yep.
like, it's just the name of the business. My name's Jocelyn.
I've learned just to, like, when people call me Danie, I respond to it now. I just go with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I'll have some different links in the show notes, some beautiful pictures that Jocelyn took of my wedding and, kind of some how you can find her and get at her. But hopefully you've enjoyed some vendor spotlight and listening in. I aim to have a lot more of these. Thank you for listening to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some inspiration or insight for your own special day. This podcast is hosted on Buzzsprout and can be found on all major platforms. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, and share to help us reach even more listeners who might laugh a little at The Wedding Wear. For the links referenced in the show, visit Linktree at Officiating by Amanda. You can also follow the business on Facebook, Wedding Wire, and The Knot to stay up to date on everything going on. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the podcast, just send an email to theweddingwearpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're ready to inquire about officiating services for your own big day, you can reach me at officiatingbyamanda@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, this has been Amanda.